Have you ever felt like the more you strive, the more distant your goals become? Like life is playing some cruel joke, rewarding indifference and punishing sincerity. There comes a moment often in silence when your soul whispers, enough, not out of weakness, but exhaustion, not from laziness, but clarity. You've run hard, tried, sincerely, pushed with everything you had, and still the peace you seek remains elusive. Maybe it's not you that's broken. Maybe it's the map you were given. What if the rules we were taught are reversed? What if success isn't the reward of force, but the byproduct of surrender? What if the greatest breakthroughs don't come from pushing harder, but from softening inward? This is the essence of what philosophers and mystics have long called the backward law, a principle that reveals a strange but liberating truth. The more you chase, the more what you seek runs away. The moment you stop grasping, life starts giving. Sometimes the path opens not with another step forward, but with a pause, a breath, a letting go. We live in a culture that worships effort, where sweat is worn like honor, and stress is a badge of ambition. From childhood, we are taught that if we want something badly enough, we must chase it, relentlessly sacrifice sleep, and outwork everyone. But what if this very approach is the problem? Modern psychology has identified a subtle phenomenon known as performance anxiety, the mental tension that arises when we become overly attached to an outcome. The mind, instead of becoming sharper, becomes clouded. The body stiffens. Breathing shallows. And intuition, a silent guide we often ignore, goes silent altogether. The harder you try to perform, the more your efforts sabotage you. Imagine standing in a river, trying to scoop up water with clenched fists. The tighter you grip, the more slips away. This is the paradox of effort, not because effort itself is wrong, but because desperate effort sends a message to the subconscious, I lack this. I fear I won't have it. Alan Watts, the British philosopher and interpreter of Eastern wisdom, explained it simply. Trying to be happy is like trying to fall asleep. The more you try, the more awake you become. Why? Because the very act of striving affirms your lack. When your desire burns too hot, it scorches the ground it hopes to nurture. You don't inspire peace by demanding it. You don't summon confidence by obsessing over it. Like a butterfly, these states come only when you're still enough for them to land on you. True power is subtle. It flows not through force, but through attunement. And often the most effective step forward is the one where you let go of needing to arrive. The mind is a paradoxical machine. The more intensely it wants something, the more pressure it builds within itself, and in that pressure, it collapses. Psychologists call this cognitive dissonance, a mental conflict that occurs when you hold a powerful desire and a simultaneous fear of not attaining it. This tension creates an invisible battlefield in the mind. You start questioning your worth, your timing, even your direction. You overthink delay and eventually burn out, not because you're weak, but because your energy is torn in two. The ancient sages knew this long before science gave it a name. In Zen Buddhism, it said the seeking mind is the blind mind. The moment you chase peace, you admit its absence. The more you hunt happiness, the more you remind yourself you don't have it. Wanting when tainted by desperation becomes resistance, and resistance creates distance. Like a bird, you try to trap desire flees when it senses force. But if you become still, the bird may land in your open palm. The great paradox is this: fulfillment often arises not when you grasp harder, but when you surrender the grasping altogether and simply let life find its way to you. In the ancient philosophy of Taoism, there exists a concept so subtle, yet so powerful, it defies conventional logic. It is called Wu Wei, often translated as non-doing, but more accurately, it means effortless alignment. Wu Wei is not laziness. It is not inaction. It is the art of acting without strain, of moving in perfect harmony with the rhythm of life. In Wu Wei, you are not forcing life, you are flowing with it. The modern equivalent in psychology is known as the flow state. This is the peak of human experience where challenge and skill meet in balance and action arises without hesitation. Artists, athletes, and thinkers alike describe these moments as timeless, frictionless, alive. When you're in flow, there's no anxiety, no overthinking. The self disappears. What remains is pure doing, unburdened and precise. Taoist sages compared this to water soft fluid and formless, yet stronger than stone. It bends around obstacles, but never breaks. It does not resist. It adapts. And in that adaptability lies its quiet strength. Wu Wei teaches us that greatness is not achieved by grinding harder, but by becoming so present that action arises as naturally as breath. In letting go of control, we allow power to move through us, not from us. To many, surrender sounds like giving up, like defeat. But to the mystics, surrender is not collapse. It is elevation. There is a difference between giving up and letting go. Giving up comes from despair. Surrender comes from wisdom. It is not apathy. It is alignment. A conscious decision to trust a force greater than one's limited will. This surrender is not passive. It is active openness. A soul unclenching its fists. A mind releasing its obsession with outcomes. A heart stepping aside so that grace may enter. The Bhagavad Gita speaks of this surrender as the essence of yoga, not the twisting of limbs, but the letting go of attachment to results. Lord Krishna urges Arjuna to act, but not to cling. This is not detachment from life, it's deeper engagement without ego. In Zen surrender is the bowing of self before the moment. In Christianity, it is the "Thy will be done" whispered in the quiet of surrender. In Hinduism, it is Ishvara Pranidhana, offering the fruits of action to the divine. All paths point to the same liberation, merging with the rhythm of life, no longer pushing against it. Even modern psychology agrees healing begins not when we resist our pain, but when we accept it with compassion. Resistance breeds suffering. Acceptance breeds peace. Surrender is not weakness. It is the highest intelligence to stop wrestling with the river and instead become the current. At the deepest level of spiritual realization lies a practice so subtle it often goes unnoticed: non-resistance. Not a technique, not an attitude, but a profound way of being. Non-resistance is not giving up. It is the absence of inner warfare. When you stop demanding life to match your expectations, life stops opposing you. What once felt like struggle begins to move with you, not against you. Resistance is the ego's protest against what is. It tightens the body, clouds the mind, and contracts the heart. It says, this moment must be different, and in doing so, it multiplies suffering. The more you fight what's happening, the more entangled you become. Like sinking deeper in quicksand, the harder you thrash. Zen masters describe mushin the mind without friction. It is not empty but clear, not passive but present. It meets each moment like water meets stone without resistance, but with infinite softness and shape. Mystics across traditions speak the same language. The Hermetic schools taught that harmony arises when the soul stops battling reality. Quantum physics hints that observation shapes reality. Resistance disrupts coherence, while acceptance allows energy to align. Non-resistance is not inaction. It is action without compulsion. It is choice without struggle. When the mind is still, the right step appears effortlessly, like a reflection on calm water. By ceasing to resist life, you begin to partner with it. What once felt like opposition becomes collaboration. And the miracle is this: life was never against you. It was only waiting for your yes. Looking back, the most profound moments in my life didn't arrive when I pushed the hardest. They came quietly like unexpected rain after a long drought, when I stopped chasing and simply allowed. I've chased love only to feel lonelier. I've clung to career goals only to watch them slip through my fingers. But the peace I never demanded, the moments of connection I never planned, the clarity I never forced, they all found me when I let go. Surrender didn't mean doing nothing. It meant trusting enough to stop interfering. The backward law isn't a poetic theory, it's a lived truth. When I finally stopped rowing so hard, I realized the river was already carrying me. In a world obsessed with effort and conquest, this truth remains quietly revolutionary. The more you let go, the more life gives. The more you soften, the more you rise. The more you allow, the more you align. True mastery isn't about overpowering life. It's about moving with it. So breathe. Loosen your grip. Let the moment be enough. Because often the life you've been chasing was already within you, waiting for your stillness to let it bloom. You need not add more, only subtract resistance.